Happy New Year, jackasses. Today I'm going to play around a little bit and have a little fun with sound effects, I guess, because I guess, the subject of the episode is going to be the Wonder movie that came out in December, based on some kind of a book written in 2012, I think, called Wonder, and then another book that I believe my daughter read called Augie and Me or something. But I kind of want to make fun of freaks in a way, but not really, not quite. Maybe the concept of freaks as we see it now, where it seems to be everyone wants to be a freak. So I'm going to be playing around with the sound, some of the crazy effects that the sound editing program can provide, and see if we can't have a little fun. Like, for instance, I'm doing a crazy kind of effect right now. I'm not really quite sure what it is. Maybe I'm altering the pitch or giving myself a crazy alien echo. So I'm an audio freak, if you will. During this presentation. The first thing I had to talk about was my daughter, of course. I got to talk about my daughter. I had written as a topic for discussion for the show when I was researching what I wanted to do with this podcast. I wrote, my daughter is a pain in the ass and she irritates the hell out of me. My daughter sees my note and then rewrites it. And then what does she write? What does specifically here? She writes, she changes it around and says, my daughter, and how much she loves me, cares about me, and wants me to have a happy life. That's sweet. She's a sweet kid, definitely a sweet kid. She's on the sweet side. But I do get really irate with people when they try to judge me based on my parenting or something like that. There are certain things I simply will not permit my daughter to do that a lot of parents do. And the thing is, I have an informed opinion being a parent for more than 10 years now. She'll be, she is 11 years now. And I think that, that the things I do, the precautions I take, it's mainly the result of living in a new world where, I don't know, apparently they everyone wants you to think your daughter's going to be abducted, your children are going to be abducted every 5 seconds, everything, and then you kind of obsess because we're living in such an advanced age as far as technology is concerned that we sort of obsess over our own personal safety, and we do this a lot. I do worry about my daughter's safety, but I would say that in hedging the bets and making some choices and how those choices can affect your future, I have to say that I think I said this before in another episode, of course. I'm bragging, but 11 years, not one broken bone. Not one single bone broken. She's had a couple of scratches and scrapes in her journey to understand the concept of walking. And I find very interesting, especially in New York, this is so strange. You'll see kids that are 5 years old and still being pulled around in strollers. And I have no idea why. Maybe it's because parents want to control their children even on that level. We had Regan up and walking and out of that stroller in less than, probably in less than 18 months, I would say. Yeah, she was walking around. Yeah, she got tired, It's very strange to go from a carrying situation to a stroller situation to a walking situation. But we managed to get her out of that stroller, and she was up and running, just like we started reading with her at a very early age. As encouraged by the school, I think, the school that she went to at the time, JFK Elementary up in Brewster. They really, reading is the most important thing you can possibly do. It's more important than math because you need to learn how to read first before you can understand math, obviously. So she was reading at a very early age, but what I don't understand it. This kid can read, and she seriously reads. She picks up books and she reads them cover to cover, and she enjoys them. She processes them. She doesn't have the highest reading grade in class. She's got one of the highest, but not the. And I'm not understanding. It's she's in 5th grade. They go through A through Z, I think, and Z is the highest reading grade. It should be kind of like the opposite, but I guess we're going in that direction so we don't have to make the illiterate people feel bad about themselves, because then they become freaks. She can read, and she even does this thing that I was incapable of doing when I was her age. She can read expressively. She can tell a story and put emphasis on certain words to give it a very entertaining feel. And I was unable to do that for a long time. The first time I was aware of it, I think, might have been 7th grade, something like that, 6th or 7th grade, when I started seeing that some kids were reading in a very expressive way, in an emotive way. So, my daughter, my wife and I, on occasion, will just kind of stare at her. We'll just stare at her, and we'll talk to her, and we'll engage her, because she's so adorable. She's so damn cute. It's ridiculous. She's beautiful. She's like a work of art. And, everyone is always talking to her. And I do encourage her to be congenial and polite. Politeness, we were talking about all the sexual harassment, all the sexual assault stuff. And I was thinking, these are people from an slightly older generation. Some of them are a little closer to my age. But the thing is, I was raised to be a gentleman. I was raised in a single mother environment. And my mother always instilled in me that the value of being a gentleman. And part of being a gentleman is try not to grab people's asses. Not even in jest. I mean, keep your hands to yourself. That's sort of, be polite, open doors for people, help people. A handicapped gentleman dropped a bag today at the Rite Aid, and when we were going in there to grab a couple of things, and I picked it up, and he was like, "Thank you," and he was like kind of surprised that anyone would ever help him, which is so strange. I help people all the time. I mean, it's just sort of my nature. These are the lessons. These are the things that are valuable in life: is courtesy, common courtesy, and being a gentleman, being a lady, never behaving in an untoward capacity. So, but apparently we are the freaks. Now, getting to Wonder. Let me put on my strange filter again. Let me do that strange filter again.
Some kind of voice, something weird happening here. We have no idea what it is. We're going to talk about Wonder.
This is a movie that came out recently. It's not doing terribly well, actually. It's interesting at the box office. You have Julia Roberts and Owen Wilson playing the parents of a boy who is described in the Wikipedia hilariously as having facial differences. Do we know what facial differences are? I mean, like, this is so strange. Some people's eyes are too close to their nose. That's my wife's theory of beauty, is the eyes have to be given some space, a lot of space between the nose. And if they're too close together, you get that pig-eyed look. Kind of like what Tonya Harding looked like. You remember Tonya Harding? God, her eyes were very close to her nose. My mother always believed that people who had gap teeth were liars. I mean, that's her logical sounding board, if you will. This is the kind of person who thinks that people who have gaps in their teeth are liars. It's like, I don't know. She was kind of like a Christian type, so she was a lunatic in many aspects, but believing that certain things are God's will. For that, I have to refer to Stephen Fry. Stephen Fry once spoke of why he's atheist. He says there's no God, and then the person asks him, why? Why do you think there's no God? And he's like, bone cancer in children. What's up with that? Is that God's will? I mean, that doesn't make any sense. I also hear the interesting theories about cancer in and of itself, that apparently cancer comes from hate, and that if you hate so much, if you have so much hate in your heart, you're going to get cancer. The hate actually crystallizes and becomes a physical form, and that form is cancer. Don't know if I necessarily believe that either, but I do find that a lot of people who get cancer, I'm not saying everyone, of course, but a lot of people are just so consumed with hatred in some capacity or another. It could be hatred on either side. It's interesting. It's very interesting. So you have the Wonder movie, and you have this child who has facial differences. He's not quite Eric Stoltz in Mask. He just has, he kind of, I don't know, in the movie he looks like he suffered some, third degree burns or something, or somebody exposed him to nitric acid. He's got like a weird thing going on and he required an enormous amount of surgery apparently just to make him look like less freakish but still a freak. And there's an interesting scene in the book and the movie where someone calls Augie, the kid, Augie, August, whatever, a freak. And one of his few friends, I guess at the time, pummels this kid, beats him beyond recognition, so the blood is spurting out all over it, gives him a bloody nose, bloody mouth, whatever. I mean, we have to be very careful about weighing actions versus the words that inspire us to cause ourselves to behave in that fashion. For me, I don't know. If I had a friend like Augie, who's apparently a tip-top kid, great guy, great kid, and somebody else called him a freak, I would say, I don't think he's a freak. Prove me wrong. Or how are you not the freak? Or something. Who has given you final arbitration? Who has made you judge, jury, and executioner on the definition of the word fake? Please explain it to me. Let's sit down. We'll talk. Let's talk about your problem, why your hostility, your propensity for name calling, if you will. I might do that. I mean, I've never been one to start fights. I've only I've only finished them. I've tried to finish them. And I've had my nose broken 3 times. So I've been in a few fisticuffs, if you will. Regan was bullied quite a bit early on when we first came back to the city because I hate to really kind of do this. I hate to, it's not any indication of what kind of a person I am. The majority of the people in our class at the time were mainly black and Hispanic and many Arabs. Many Arab children, a few Hindi children. She was very much in the minority, being a white kid. I think there were only like 3 white kids in the entire school. She was pretty much picked on. There was one particular young man who picked on her, pushed her up against one. Like she had to go see the nurse a couple of times because of harassment. Generally, I tell her, stiff upper lip, deal with it. Don't start fights. Finish them. Okay? Never start a fight, but always finish it. Don't just be there. Don't just be a victim. It's not a good thing to be a victim. It is not a good thing to be a victim because it's something that can become a toxic environment really quickly if you start doing that. And we're seeing that. We're really seeing that nowadays, especially on university campuses. A place where young adults become adults, but apparently, we're infantilizing these kids to the point that you got 40-year-olds out there that are still living in their parents' basements, enjoying comic book movies on a level, and Harry Potter movies too. This is strange, on a level that kind of goes beyond any freakish aspect of a preteen. You're gonna go to a Harry Potter movie premiere. I saw many people my age going to those movies dressed up with the scarf and getting a little Bic pen and putting a lightning bolt on their forehead or something like that. Very strange. So it would be interesting if we had people going to the Wonder movie with fucked up looking faces or something in solidarity. I want to be Augie. Does anyone want to be Augie? Not really sure about that. That'd be interesting. And now we seem to be in a contest of who's the bigger freak. It's like, well, I had a hernia the other day. I had a hangnail. I've got a scar here. There's a scene in Jaws, one of the great scenes in Jaws, where they're comparing wounds they've received from various, boating and shark and eel attacks. Hooper and Quint, Richard Dreyfuss and Robert Shaw. And they're like, it's a moray eel bit right through my wetsuit. Quint gets a tattoo removed. It's a kind of a macho pissing thing going on, but they're kind of bonding over this, right? Chief Brody is kind of like an insulated type of guy. He's not an adventurer or an explorer. He was a New York cop who became a sheriff of a small beach community, So he's looking at his appendix scar and contemplating it for a moment to see if he could possibly introduce this into the conversation. And then he's like, no, never mind. Let them have their fun. So the thing about Augie, okay, we have the kid, he's going into school, and of course it's going to be a difficult time for him, just like it was when Cher registered Rocky in school, masked. They didn't want him around because he's a fucking freak, obviously. Augie doesn't look as bad as Eric Stoltz did in that movie, though. He has to be palatable, and I bet you that was one of the things the studio said. They were like, yeah, it's a popular book. Here, take our money and make this movie, make it happen. But if he could just do us a favor and make sure that his appearance is not especially grotesque so that we lose audience or something. We don't want to look at this movie. We don't want to have this guy up on an enormous screen with this fucked up face because people just can't handle anything anymore. They can't. I mean, like, we had like 8, 9, 10 Jason movies, Freddy movies. These guys looked really fucked up. I mean, really seriously fucked up. There's a scene in Jason Takes Manhattan where Jason is walking down the streets of Manhattan, of course, a very dangerous town at night, and a gang is about to harass him and say, hey, what are you doing here? What the fuck are you doing? Hey, come on. Let's beat him up. Let's take his money, whatever. Because Jason looks loaded. He looks like he's carrying money bags everywhere. All Jason does is flip open his hockey mask, and they're like, yo, it's cool. Let's get out of here. And they run the other way. It's really funny. Kind of an in-joke. I doubt that Jason would really kind of understand. It's obviously something that's written beyond contrivance. It's just the writer and his wishful thinking. So, I mean, like in the depiction of the movie, this is a kid who can do no wrong because he's a freak. If you're a freak, you can do no wrong because you are a victim, and all victims are right. No victim ever makes a mistake, whatever's going to happen. And eventually he's given an award. He's given like some kind of a prestigious award. And it's I mean, like, I guess if you have to overcome certain things, there's a level of accomplishment in your ability to put up with other people's bullshit. I don't know if it earns you an award. You should get like award for, my daughter has been on the honor roll several times, and she's gotten incredible grades, but she had to like earn them. She had for a while she had perfect attendance. She's kind of been sick a couple of days this year, but she has had really almost perfect attendance. I think in 3 years she's only been out of school maybe, I want to say 3 days, but she's had to bust her ass. The thing is, if you're not given certain or sufficient opportunities in the past, you're sure to get them in the future in the form of some kind of reparations. I'd love to make reparations a separate topic. Just today, I'm getting in a conversation with some nice people who are, I don't know, a little bit biased. It's over the whole Elizabeth Warren Pocahontas thing. And the thing is, I did my homework. I knew all about this for a while. They said that Trump originated the Pocahontas comment. He did not, actually. The comment was originated when she was running for Senate in 2012. It may have been by one of her Republican opponents, or it may have been by people that were competing on her side, the Democrats. Like, we know that Hillary Clinton was the person who dug up the whole birth certificate thing about Obama. That was not started by Trump, and Trump back then was supporting Hillary. She was the one who brought that up, and a lot of people don't want to remember that or want to misremember facts. It was actually Hillary who did that. And then there was a lot of back and forth, bitchy, catty behavior, sorry to offend, out there between Hillary and Elizabeth Warren. Elizabeth Warren claimed to have some Cherokee and Delaware blood in her. All I wanted to know is why you would bring up that fact unless you wanted some kind of benefit from it, either from college, university experiences, holding out on a job, some method of affirmative action that's going to work in your favor if you say this. There's no reason for you to bring up Indian lineage. You have not experienced, I mean, especially Miss Warren, has not experienced any of the hardship that Native Americans have truly experienced. And to call yourself one of them is to elicit some form of sympathy, and it's disingenuous, it's dishonest. And it's something you got to keep your eye on people like that. You got to totally keep your eye on people like that. I believe in truth. Truth is all that matters. It may hurt, but it's still all that matters. And I was trying to tell this to people, and they're like, this is racist. It's a racist slur. Whatever Trump was talking about, he was at some kind of a thing for the code talkers. He was giving some kind of a speech to them at that time. And he had made a comment about Pocahontas. I was like, Trump did not originate the Pocahontas comment. And further, what is Elizabeth Warren's motivation for trying to making that claim? And also, if you believe, like me, in a common ancestry, the whole racial divide is going to disappear within the next 10 years once people start to begin to realize that we're all kind of from the same common ancestry, and that certain groups then splintered out into different areas and adopted different physical appearance, but we are all of the same stuff. We are all black. We are all Indian. We are all Italian. We are all Etruscan. We are all Eskimos. We are all Norwegian. We are all South American. We are all Spanish. We are all Asian. All of us, for fuck's sake. I'm so sick of hearing about racial divisions. So in a way, we're all freaks. Now, reverse bullying was the next thing I wanted to get into. It's kind of like with the kid punching the other kid for calling Augie a freak. Sing it. Regan was telling me about like a group of friends. She had a small circle of friends back in the Brewster days where, there was a bully in the school, and they all gathered around him and called him a bully. In a sense, they were bullying him for being a bully. I had bullies. God, this fucking kid used to punch me like crazy. He was like twice my size and very muscular and older than me. And he used to beat me, mercilessly. And I had to deal with that. I don't hate the kid. I think he's an idiot, but I don't hate him. I try not to hate. It causes cancer, Now's another time for another wacky sound effect. Let's do something strange.
Hello, I am talking to you from a podcast.
I wanted to mention a little bit about Harrison Bergeron. It's a brilliant story by Kurt Vonnegut. Scary and prescient. How about another sound effect?
Scary and prescient.
This is a society in a not too distant future where the government has taken control of people and their notions of equality by making everyone equal, and by making everyone equal as demonstrated by whether anyone possesses any superior skill, like if they're strong, if they're too good looking, if they're too athletic. And they create equalizers on those people. If you're too strong, you're forced to carry lead-shot weights around. In The Sirens of Titan also, another Vonnegut book. If you're too smart, they put an earpiece, they give you an earpiece with a radio that causes you to not be able to think correctly or something like that. It confuse you and things like that. So this informed... freakish type of situation where you're going to force people to become freaks because no one should stand out anymore. It's like the death of the meritocracy. It's the death of earning things because you worked for them. It's being given everything and creating no exceptional person anymore. I mean, we're starting to move into a direction where we're taking the minorities and making them the exceptional people while the other people are not. So it's sort of weird. It's a reverse freakism is going on where soon the people who actually accomplish things and can't fall back on the ability to be a minority or something, therefore not making it that special, are going to become the freaks. And then the exceptional people are going to become the people, I guess, who are minorities, who have the cultural, who are permitted cultural currency. Some people aren't, unfortunately, and that's just the way it goes. So Moving on. This was rather unfortunate. There's a movie coming out. I believe it's out now, called The Greatest Showman, starring Hugh Jackman, where he plays P.T. Barnum, and he puts together the greatest show on earth, which is a Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey circus. Unfortunately, this movie comes out just as the Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey circus has closed for good. And the reason it's closed for good is because people don't like mistreatment of animals or something. They don't like putting animals on display. Soon, zoos will be removed. It'll become a crime to look at animals for some kind of spectator form of entertainment. Really bad move on a lot of parts. When I can't take my daughter to a circus, I've been to a circus. I went to a circus maybe once or twice. Had a grand old time, except for the clowns, of course, but there were very few clowns at that time. But I did go to the Ringling Brothers Barnum and Bailey Circus one time, I believe, at the Philadelphia Spectrum. Or the Civic Center, I'm not sure. Plus, you have a movie coming out that is showcasing the trailer. Made me nauseous. It was just a bunch of, it was like this encouraging, uplifting song that was playing, and then like a bearded lady and a bunch of fucking freaks running around and just, hey, look at us, we're freaks, yay, celebrate freakdom.
Celebrate freakdom.
Put another sound effect in there. Celebrate freakdom. The freaks are the normal people. You are the freak for not being a freak. If you can understand that, I will send you money. So that's the end of this lesson in illogic. Once again, Happy New Year. Good to see another year pass. And hopefully we'll have many more years to come. But remember, wave your freak flag high. Because if you don't, you will be singled out as a freak. Good night.